Hi, Super Awesome Stampers. It's Super Awesome Stamper Shirley Merker. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Wisconsin, USA. You are joining me for day 10 of my 12 Dies of Christmas December 2020 Kits in the Mail program. So I can't believe I waited until day 10 to share the Blackberry Bliss cardstock. My favorite color of all time, I think. I just love purples, and this is such a deep, rich purple. So this is the card that we'll be making, and you will need to find your Celebrate Sunflower stamp set along with the sunflower dies. And I am using the large sunflower and then the Thanks a Bunch stamp from that set. All right, so find your card kit that has the Blackberry Bliss card base. Pull everything out and set the envelope aside and open it up and see what you got. So I gave you an extra piece of lace and an extra trio of pearls, so you don't need those two. Set one each of those aside. And then we'll start with the inside, which is the Very Vanilla. And we'll start with stamping the sunflower. So everything else we can kind of move off to the side for a second. And then keep your crumb cake piece. So I gave you a 3 by 2 inch piece about, I think it was 2 inches. Yeah, 3 by 2 inches. And this is 3 by 3/4 of an inch. So I stamped my sentiment and then custom cut that off. All right, so let's move another thing aside. All right, so you're also going to grab your Blackberry Bliss ink pad and ink it up. My Blackberry Bliss ink pad is not super inky. So if you need a lot of ink on your ink pad, or if you like a really vibrant color, make sure you re-ink your ink pads before you use them. And then I'm just centering it on that Very Vanilla piece, and both of the Very Vanilla pieces are the same size. All right, and I didn't quite get that. Maybe I'm gonna have to re-ink, or I will just stand up. It's hard for me to get pressure on the stamps at an angle. There, and this is an especially large stamp. So I normally just walk my hands around large stamps like this to get the ink transferred. And there, that's much better. Yeah, my problem was I didn't have enough pressure on my block. Okay, next, I'm gonna do something a little different with my inside, but as you can see, I stamped the 4 corners with just the edge of the block. But we're going to do something a little different for the card that I'm doing. There's that and that. Next, you're going to take your Thanks a Bunch, ink it up, and stamp it on your, just towards the bottom. And then custom cut that off, and that's what you'll wind up with. Okay, next, I'm not going to move my ink pad too far from me because I have another inside idea for the inside. Next, you're going to cut your sunflower out. So lay your stamped image on your cutting pad, which is on top of your magnetic plate. Now, this is not a symmetrical flower in that there is a right and a wrong way to place this die on your flower, and you'll just have to keep on turning it until you find it. And hopefully I can find it while I am at an angle here. Nope, that's not it. So what I'm looking for is there's this large slash of a petal kind of at an angle, and I thought it was right there. Yes, it's right there. So that largest curved petal, you'll just need to find it on your flower. It's kind of opposite all these really tall petals. It's on the other side. And that's how you'll run it through the Big Shot. And then also take your square of Blackberry Bliss and run that through with this detailed cut right there. So through the magic of television, I've already got this one cut. And then this one is cut as well. Now I did run this piece through 3 times just to make extra sure everything cut, because it is delicate, like I said. All these things need to come out. And find your die cutting brush. I mentioned in my previous video in this series that my die cutting brush is lost in my stamp room somewhere, and I have no idea where it is. And I'm not sure how that happens because I'm the only one working in this space, but it's stuck in a tub somewhere, and it's not a flat thing, so I'm not sure where it could be hiding. All right, so those chads are out, and I'm gonna pull up the sample card. And so I took out the outer chads, but there are inner little circles that also needed to be punched out. So again, here's where that die cutting brush would work wonders. I'm just using my take your pick tool. And you could certainly leave these little circles in if you don't want to press all them out. They will stay in even with 3 passes through on my die cutting machine. And then you just take your hand and run it over the back to get any that are hanging on. There. Okay, I'm going to move all those little things to the side here so we get an empty workspace. Okay. All right, so I said I was going to do something a little different for the inside of my card. And what I'm going to do is use the negative for the inside. I thought that would be kind of fun. But I'm still going to stamp the petals on the corners. Maybe try for a different section of the sunflower just so you get different looks of the petal. There. So I'm all done with the stamp pad, although I haven't stamped any envelopes in this series. Made it all the way to day 10 and I haven't stamped any envelopes. So try to make sure to decorate up those envelopes somehow. There you go. Now I'm all done with the ink pad. I'm going to close this one up so I don't get Blackberry Bliss ink all over everything that doesn't need to be having Blackberry Bliss. Okay, so now we can, I think, start assembling. Grab your card base and your bone folder. Increase that score mark down so it lays flat while we're assembling. So this is going to go on the inside of your card. Oh, you know what? And I just see that that's probably not a good option because unless you got our white marker or some kind of metallic marker, a gel pen, you're not going to be able to see your sentiment. So why don't we do this? There, that works. Okay, so let's tack this down. That way I don't have a layer, this layer in my scrap bin. And I'm going to hold that up a little bit and kind of balance it on my fingers in the corner so we get a perfect layered look. There. And then this will go on the inside. Oh, that's the sample card. Here we go. There, so sample card versus what I just did. I kind of like that with the negative. It adds a nice little detail. All right, so your next layer would be your crumb cake piece. And go ahead and run that through your embossing machine with whatever embossing folder you'd like. I am using the Ornate Flower embossing folder. So it actually has a shape that looks like sunflowers and then little stems right next to it. And here's where I grab my liquid glue because I want the glue to sink in all those impressions and grab onto my card base. And I'm just centering that in the card front, top to bottom, left to right. Holding it down for a few seconds. All right, next layer is going to be your negative, where you cut out this delicate little flower. I think I've been saying daisy, right? It's supposed to be a sunflower. It looks like a daisy to me. Those fancy colored Gerber daisies, maybe the petals are a little bit smaller than a Gerber, but we can use our imagination. Okay. All right, next step is to layer your delicate little, I got one little hole there another one that's not poking through there. Layer your delicate little sunflower. I had a few circles that weren't releasing. Layer it over your sunflower. And again, there's one way, and I would look for your long petals. There's long ones on this side and shorter ones over here. And then look for your long petals on your stamp image. And then just move it until it lines up. So here is a petal that's curving to the left. And find that on your stamp image, and that's where it's most likely going to line up, right? Just like that. Okay? So place your very vanilla stamped image on your mat. Flip it over and get some adhesive on the back side. I'm just going to use a little bit of my green glue in the center. You can use your fine tip glue pen. You can dab like a tiny little bit on the spaces that have a little bit more paper. And my green glue bottle is almost out, so I can perfectly control where I'm putting all that glue. And then flip it back. And look for that petal that's moving, that is positioned to the left. And then position it over that petal on your stamped one. And just hold that down for a few seconds to give the glue a chance to dry. All right, now when I placed it on my card base, I did not perfectly layer it up. So there's a little bit of the crumb cake peeking through, and I kind of like that look. So all I did was put a little bit of glue on the back side and purposely not line up all those petals so that there's a little bit of the crumb cake peeking out. And hold it down for a few seconds to give it the glue a little bit to dry. All right, I think we're done with the liquid glue. So next, get your tape runner. Oh, that moved on me. Huh. Oh, am I going to be able to pull this up? I might. So that's the... I wonder if I moved my hand and it moved a little bit. I think I can pull that up. And move it a little bit. It wasn't perfectly straight. And it could be my cutting skills. There, that looks better. So guess what we're gonna do? So the green glue is kind of semi-tacky. You can pull it up. And since it's layered on an embossed piece, it doesn't have full contact with the bottom layer, the crumb cake. So I think that will work just fine. Okay, next I'm gonna apply a little bit, maybe an inch of my tape runner, so that I can adhere my strip of the scallop lace ribbon. So I'm not gonna worry about taping down the ends. They can be free floating there. And then most of the tag will cover up any tape that might want to seep through there. And I popped up my sentiment on some dimensionals. So I skipped over the step where you're going to have to custom cut your sentiment. You stamp whatever sentiment you want on from your stamp set. Okay, and then last would be to attach our trio of pearls, which are on the retiring list, and they are in the August to December catalog. They're so pretty though, they're so elegant. Okay, so here's the card my sample card, and here's the card I just created. I see on this one I didn't perfectly center my flowers, so there's more space up there, but that's okay. That's what's just gonna happen. There's the inside of the one we just did, inside of the one, my sample card. All right, so here's where I do a catalog tour. I use the Celebrate Sunflower stamp set and coordinating dies. Again, if you order using the bundle item number, you get 10% off the stamps and the dies, but you can certainly order them individually as well. They are part of the Flowers for Every Season suite, which starts on page 10 of the annual catalog. And then the Sunflowers dies are on page 175, and here's another sample card. Looks like they placed a little bit of vellum behind there and some of the gingham ribbon. You also see the leaves have got the same kind of concept of open, a closed leaf, a full leaf, and then the delicate detail on top of it. And then the trio of pearls are from the August to December catalog. And if you go to the back of your catalog, we've got these handy picture indices. And the trio of pearls is on page 15. And they are part of the Poinsettia Place suite. So right there, the beaded pearls, you get 18 pearls for $8. Okay, I think that's it. Besides using our fabulous Blackberry Bliss, the Crumb Cake cardstock, and the Scallop Lace Ribbon, along with the Ornate Floral 3D Embossing Folder. All right, thanks for watching. This is day 12 of my 12 Dies of Christmas, December 2020 Kits in the Mail program. For details about my Kits in the Mail, go to my blog at superawesomestamper.com and click on Kits in the Mail. And if you're watching from YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell to be notified when I load new content to my YouTube channel. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a super awesome day, and we'll stamp with you soon. Bye.